All right, welcome back. So back to our page. We're trying to create something. I think we should actually have we should, instead of just having HTML form, or I'm going to add another header, and I'll give it submit information, submit details. So we can do that still inside the form using an H2 submit correct information. All right, so we have this. Now the first one we saw is let's just make it not just username but full name. Enter. This is we change this to name, and we change this as well to name. Oh, placeholder. Call it full name rather instead of username. Enter full name. All right, enter full name. I don't know. Okay. So now, the next one we're going to be having now is email. We have an input. This time we set our text to email. Email. Can you see that's can set it to email? What do we have? We have a placeholder. Placeholder set to email address. What else should we have? Our ID set to email. And then I told us that for every of them, we'd always have our our label element. The label set to enter official email. And then I have an error here, enter. Okay. So, oh my, I wrote that somewhere else. Sorry. Here I should just have email rather. So inside the opening and closing brackets where I will have the text content. Okay, so we save and let's look at what we have for now. Okay, so if you see, everything is going on one straight line. We've talked about this before that um, we talked about inline and block level element, and you can see that an input as well is also an inline element. It's accommodating. So what we're going to do is it's either we wrap each of them in a paragraph, which let's wrap each of them in a paragraph. So we'll wrap each input we're going to be using, so it can always break. We can actually use the line break as well, but for us to have more space, more padding, more margin rather, it's better to have a paragraph. Um, and I have this. I save it formatted. So we're just going to copy one of this. So we'll keep duplicating. The next one we're going to have now. Let's set a different type. We can set type to password as well. It's inbuilt. When you set type to password, you see how different it becomes now. Password. ID should be set to password. By the way, the ID does not necessarily have to be the same with the placeholder. Just just to make everything match, rhyme rather. I can try to make it PW is still password. Just ensure that the four attributes and the password. Okay, let's use something else so you won't feel like the everything is rhyming. Four attributes set to PW. Just ensure that your ID attribute and your four attributes are set to the same thing. So PW for both of them. The placeholder is set to password. Enter password as our label text. Okay. Now let's see what we have. We have email and password right now. I refresh, and because they are all in paragraphs, can you see they are all nested? By the way, I can increase the length of this width if I want, and the width rather of these inputs input. I can make it longer if I want with CSS, but for now it's just fine. So we have use enter full name. You can enter name. If you look at the address, enter address. If you if I try to submit, you can see it's writing, please include an at symbol in the email address. That is, at is missing. So the browser understands that if this is an email, it is meant to have this symbol. Now, if I try to submit, if I put a button and I try to submit without putting the hat, it would not even allow it. It's what we call it form validation. We're still going to get there. So for now, you can see, and the password, because it is meant to be secret. Can you see? I didn't make it secret. The browser understands that it's a password and it can't afford to be reviewed. Of course, I'm sure you've seen sites whereby you will click on an icon here, and when you click on the icon, it will display the password. All of that can be done with JavaScript. But for now, the password is just fine for what it is. Now, let's see what else we can add to it. Next, we add, this time around, what other kind of type do we have? Okay, before I go on to this, you can just try any of them, but let me just pick, more important ones. Okay, enter number. Now, label for num, and I'll set my ID as well to num. All right, so placeholder, well, this particular one, okay, let me remove the placeholder first. It's not the usual, it's not, okay, it doesn't, let me change this for now. We're actually building, what site we're even building, so what we're trying to, let me see if I could make something. Okay, job searcher. So we just have a label that says select how many years, or select your years of work experience. I think forms is actually to me, it's actually the most fun part of CSS that I like actually. Okay, select your years of experience or work experience. Input type set a number, placeholder. Let's save and see what it looks like first of all. Now, if you over it, you can see it accepts numbers, accepts so many numbers, but there is a way that there's using form validation. I can make it that, okay, for instance, if I write 0. It still accepts it, and that does not make any sense. So with form validation, which we'll talk about later on, you can specify that compulsorily the user is expected to enter maybe from 0 to upward. So somebody will not just come and enter -5 years. It doesn't make any sense. And if you look at this as well, you can always click. It continues going, it continues. If you keep clicking, sorry, it keeps going up. Except using form validation, you specify, can you see that it's also going to negative value? So with form validation, you can specify that, okay, I want a specific years, maybe, okay, for instance, how many children do you have, or how many children would you like to have, or how many years would you want to work with us? I can specify from 1, that is minimum 1, maximum 5. That is, we don't expect anybody to work in that company for more than 5 years. You can do all of that as long as that is what the company requires. So we can just have this here as well, years of work experience. All right, so nothing different, just a placeholder, refresh, and I think it makes more sense. If you put your mouse close here, you can see that sign. All right, the next thing, we'll see a few more, and that will be in the next video. So in this video, we've seen now a few. In the next video, we'll see quite a few more. Hopefully in the next video or the one after the next, we should have a not so beautiful, but a reasonable looking form ready for submission. To see you in the next video.